In our last tutorial, we learned how to retrieve the column and row values for the data grid, such that when we double clicked on a row, it will give us information that we've clicked row value 1 and the column value is 2. So if I click maybe on the last row, it will tell me that the row value is 3 and the column value is 4. Take note that the row values, they are zero-based indices, and as well as the column values. So today we are going to learn how to retrieve data using the data reader in an SQLite database, such that when we double click on any row, the information for the ID will be captured and will display the data for that particular user on a form. So let's begin coding. I will comment on that, and one thing, I will create a public variable, and I will name it contact ID, so that I get to capture the ID information from the contacts table. So I will say public contact ID as integer. Then after I've done that, I will delete the data as string and assign that information to the contact ID variable. So after I've done that, I will call the form update .show dialog, because it's the form update that we'll be using to populate the information using the data reader. And in the next tutorial, we'll learn how to update that information that we have gotten in or we have read using our data reader. So I will say form update .show. So this is basically what I need. I will try to run it and see that it works perfectly. So when I double click, the form will appear. That means it's working on fine. So the next thing that I will do is I will copy and paste the connection string, which is very important. So I will come to the form update and I will double click on the form, and all the information will be put on the form load events handler. And before anything else, I will import the libraries that are required, and I will import from the system.data and also import from the system.data .SQLite. Then I will paste the connection string. I don't need the new attribute. Every attribute is explained in previous tutorials, so you can just revisit and learn what each attribute means. And therefore, in the form update, now here is where I will put the code that I will require to read the data using the data reader. So I will create a variable named SQL string. Then I will say select all from TBL contacts. That's the name of the table. TBL contacts, where ID is equal at ID. So I'm using parameterized queries to get information from the table in our database. Then I will create a new object. I'll say dim object connection as new SQLite connection, and I will pass in the connection string which we have pasted here on top. So I will say con string, then after that I will now instantiate the object command, or the command object to be able to execute the select statement against our database. So I will say dim obj command as new SQLite command. And we will have to give our command the object connection, or the connection object, which is the object connection that we created there. Then we'll also specify the command type, object command. Sorry, this is supposed to be object command. Command dot command type, and we'll specify that the command type is going to be a text, and we're also going to specify the command text, object command dot command text, which is going to be the SQL statement that we've supplied. Another very important thing that we're going to do, we are going now to create the command parameters. So object command dot parameters dot add with value, and we are going to specify our ID at ID, and we are also going to give a value for that ID, and the value for the ID in our form 1, we said it's the contacts ID. So we are going to say form 1 dot contacts ID, form 1, sorry, just a minute, form 1 dot contact ID. Contact ID. So that's that should be the value for our ID. We are also going to now open the connection object to be able to execute the command. So I will first check if the connection the connection to the database is still alive before I open. So I'll say if object connection dot state equals connection state dot opened, closed. If it's closed, then we will open. So another very important thing that we are going to do after we have opened the connection is now to read the data. So I'll say dim reader, object reader. I'll use object reader, which is the reader object, as SQLite data reader equals object command dot execute reader. Then we'll say using the object reader. We are using the keyword here so that whenever we are finished reading from the object reader, it should be disposed automatically. We don't have to do that manually. Then we'll say while object reader dot read, that means it has information to read. Then this is now what we need to do. We need to read that information and bind it to the controls. So I'll say txt first name dot text is equals object reader and first name. This is the name of the column on the database, and I will just copy paste this. I will say txt last name dot text, then I will say object reader equals to last name. These are the name of the columns as they appear in the data in the table in the database. Then I will say txt phone agenda dot text selected text. Then I'll say here is gender. Then I will say txt email dot text is email. So you've got first name, last name, gender, phone, and email, and exactly that is what we have. And now after we've done that, we will have to close the connection. Then we'll say object connection dot close. Since we are done using the connection object, and we'll assign the object connection to nothing, and also we'll assign the object command to nothing, so that it can be captured by the garbage collector and be able to free resources in our system. So it's as simple as that, and I will save my project and I will run. So after a while, as it loads, so when I double click on a row, I get information about Mark Zuckerberg. When I double click on this, I get also information about Dwayne Johnson's. So thank you very much, and see you to the next tutorial.